On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. There is, of course, a lot going on, much like that infamous tsunami, right? As the water just starts to come in and it gets higher and higher and higher, it is beginning to unravel in a very big way for the deep state, in a very big way. A lot of evidence is coming out about these two knuckleheads, right? A little bit. Some people having fun with the memes already. 18 U.S. Code, sedition, conspiracy, and treason. Probably going to see that soon. And Robinette, really? That's really got to be his middle name? That's just so strange in and of itself. But that being said, I've got that whole mess happening. Senior officials are going to be on their way out the door. 2 have already left. More are coming. We've been hinted at that. We've got this very strong push right now against Q. But what's funny is there's this very equally strong counter push. In fact, stronger counter push. There's evidence of that. And there's actually quite a lot going on around the world. They're scared of us. Where we go one, we go all. And all of us are seriously messing with their plans. We need to keep doing what we're doing. First off, if you're someone that hasn't done a YouTube channel and you like to do this kind of stuff, now's the time to get into it. If you're someone that likes to write and you're interested in this kind of stuff, now's the time to start a blog. Now's the time to step out and, hide behind an alias if you feel you need to, right? But step out. Start exposing the voice. Start getting this information out to people. Start letting people know what the truth really is. And rather than fighting with all these mainstream media talking points, we've got some hints to this. Instead, let's come at them with actual facts. Those pesky facts are really hard to talk around. I mean, oh yeah, but what, it's like, come on, I know you are, but what am I? You start getting some very fun answers sometimes when you present people with facts. And again, it's one of those things where, much like this post, starting off 4504, do you see the noose? This is the infamous noose with the NASCAR race. And again, anyone that's a little bit wondering when the news comes out with something like this, like there's probably something weird about this, like the last 6 times or so, Smollett, and there's been a bunch of other ones, dude spray paint inside his own restaurant. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff where this type of behavior is going on. And what's funny is, and again, it's a sensitive subject, and I don't want to ever stray from that. This is not a cool symbol to a lot of people in this country, and rightly so. It represents a very evil, wicked side of this country, but something that we've grown and learned from. But they're pointing out in this particular YouTube video, I'm not going to play it because it causes issues, but I've got it paused at a really good place. And I kind of want to point out something. And again, I watched this whole thing and I looked at every freaking door, and you would be surprised. 99.9% of the time, you cannot get this clear a shot of the 2 doors and relative to the one that's, quote, got the noose. Now, I know it's really small, so I apologize. You can look at this video yourself. I'll have a link below, and it's right at like 55 seconds for me, is right where the frame is. Okay, but you can see the noose here. Now, it's attached to the door, and that's what some people are saying. It looks evident to me that that is the case. So there is a loop shape, and it certainly does kind of have that part to it, the braiding, if you will, that makes it look noose-esque. But one thing I kind of wanted to point out is this garage over here. And again, it's probably really hard to see, but over here it looks like kind of the top portion of the same type of look. Like it looks like these doors have these same types of nooses at the bottom as a means of pulling it up and down. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, Dan, that doesn't make any sense, obviously, because I don't see a noose here. Well, okay, let me point one other small factoid out that might actually come into play. My guess is when you pull this lever all the way down, the door completely opens. If you look in the top, you can see there's door right there. When you look over here, the door is rolled back further. So the thing's been pulled down further. And I could not find another view where I could see clearly where this noose is. I recommend all of you check out the video, but I did some major digging. I think this is normal there. And so I'd love it if someone's got actual pictures of this Talladega Speedway and what their actual garages look like. If they wanted to disprove this, it probably wouldn't be hard to do. 4505, more coming. And this is what I was talking about with senior officials are taking a dive off the deep end. Now, is there something specific about this guy? I don't know. I kind of went digging a little bit on him. And to be honest with you, I couldn't find anything super major, but I'll tell you what, I did find some circumstantial stuff without a doubt that made me think he's probably deep state. Just probably. And again, I'm throwing spaghetti to the wall. You guys can make up your own mind. But this Mike Griffin dude was in charge of NASA. I think it was 2005 to 2009, if memory serves. And so if that's the case, that was actually during George Bush Jr.'s time, and then bled a year into Obama's term, and Obama's like, yeah, you're getting the hell out of here. So he probably might have been a hot, who knows? I mean, I don't know why he's being dropped out, but again, optics are a part of this. What does it look like is happening? That causes some good and bad things. And again, optics are strange. It's just what they look like, right? And perception is key to people. So perception is like 9/10 of reality, they say. So if most people, if it looks like something, they assume it is, right? If it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So again, it's kind of where we're playing out on all this. But people are going to drop. There's reasons for it. I think some of these people are deep state blocks, like we saw in the Southern District in New York. I think some of these people are probably going to get shifted to other positions. Hint, maybe even making room for other positions. Hint, got another story coming up here shortly. And this one might be the one. 4506, People's General, soon, 3 stars. Now, 3 stars is most likely Flynn. Flynn was a lieutenant governor. I had to look this up because I wasn't sure exactly how the names work. I'm like, it's got general in the title, but I didn't realize I gave him different names. I wasn't in the military. I'm sorry, and thank you for your service if you were. I seriously mean that. But obviously it looks like brigadier general's the first, then major general, then lieutenant general, then you're just a general, yo. But what I thought was kind of interesting, and this is really not germane to much of anything, but do you realize there's 141, as of April 30th, 2020, there's 141 lieutenant generals, 3-star generals. 141 of these guys running around. Wow. That's pretty serious, but made me think of a few things, right? If you think of blocks, if you think of hidden white hats, if you think of people that might be useful and friends in high places, there seems to be numbers to choose from. I'm just saying. Well, and by the way, you got 38 actual 4-star generals, you got 288 2-star generals, and 411 1-star generals. There's a lot of people there. That's like, 750-ish? That's probably not good. I don't know. It's close to that, whatever. 4507. This is going to come into play as well, kind of where that initial picture comes in. Patriots, a person who loves, supports, defends his or her country. It's very nice to give both. And it interests with devotion, right? A person who regards himself or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights against presumed interference by the federal government. Now, again, that's one of the key differences between right and left. We've been trying to make a note of this. But again, the right's generally pretty much more about freedoms, right? And maybe use of government is meant to establish and help guarantee freedoms and certainly not allow those to be taken away. And on the left, they actually feel like the control through the government should happen, that you should be able to legislate behavior, you should be able to force the direction of society, and in fact, they actually enjoy that evolution of change, while on the right, again, kind of tends to hold to more of a traditional sort of value system. I found a really cool article, and if I remember, I'll pull it up at the end of this, if I can remember, because I emailed myself and never bothered to open that before filming. But that being said, a traitor, oddly, is a person who betrays another, a cause, or any trust. A person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. Now, you can be a traitor to your friends, you can be a traitor to your family, you can be a traitor to a cause, you can be, a traitor in all sorts of ways. They never thought she would lose. They were extremely careless. And this one's really very funny how it kind of plays out. I've got a bit of a humor side of this one too. But so we got Peter Strzok, Technofog here. Peter Strzok notes from the 1/4/17 released Flynn case, discussion among Obama, Comey, Yates, Biden, Susan Rice. By the way, these were released a while ago, I think. But again, it's just funny how stuff's starting to play out, right? It's coming out where it needs to. A lot of people keep saying, why don't they just release the hounds? It's like, it kind of needs to happen in an orchestrated way. People want a movie. Seriously, most Americans want a movie. They need it to kind of play out so they can know when the bathroom break is if they've got to, or get some popcorn going so they can watch and enjoy. But apparently it was Biden that called out the Logan Act. I got an idea, because he's so smart. I mean, he is. He's obviously the smartest guy in the room, and everyone knows it. Just listen to him talk. Oh, you figure it out almost instantly. Obama had the right people on the Flynn case. Comey, the Flynn-Kislyak calls appear legit. Too legit to quit. Hey. But what's really going on? Notes believed to be of January 4th, 2017 revealed that former President Obama, James Comey, Sally Yates, Joe Biden, and apparently Susan Rice, the one who sent the email to herself afterwards, forwarding it to herself, saying, "Oh yeah, and we talked about this, and this." Okay, sure. Okay, I got you. Susan Rice discussed the transcripts of the Flynn calls and how to proceed against him, meaning Flynn. Mr. Obama himself directed that the right people investigate General Flynn. This caused former FBI Director Comey to acknowledge the obvious. General Flynn's phone calls with Ambassador Kislyak appear legit. According to Strzok's notes, it appears that Vice President Biden personally raised the idea of the Logan Act. That became an admitted pretext to investigate General Flynn. The notes are attached as Exhibit 1. Now, first off, the Logan Act is something that was made back in 18 and no one has ever been accused of doing it. Like, it's never actually been used. It had to do way back in the day when you'd show up in a city on a horse and be like, "I am so-and-so from Washington, D.C." And maybe you didn't have your powdered wig. I don't know. Maybe they couldn't tell. But again, it was back in the day when they didn't want people pretending to be representatives of the United States when they, in fact, were not. Since the age of telephones and whatnot, apparently it's gotten easier. But supposedly, this chicken scratch that they're going to try to call English, this is supposedly Biden's handwriting. I say that only because they're claiming that Biden wrote this. They've got some stuff in there, so there's probably some way to ascertain that. But I see right here, Logan Act. Dude, this guy looks like he was having a seizure even back then when he was writing. He was already like, gah, 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 during the whole time. But I can't even, New Year, I see Happy New Year, like, yeah, no, too legit to quit. Like, there's some really bad handwriting in here, but whatever the case is plan anything I shouldn't be following frustration transition team is plan anything I shouldn't be telling transition team. So much bad stuff. Just so much bad stuff. Anyway. Oh yeah. This is a good thing to get used to. It'd be cool if they could put the bars in front of them. You know what is kind of funny on this picture? Just a real quick aside, I'm sorry to do this to you, but if you look at the eyes and the way the lighting was done, doesn't it almost give it that reptilian kind of eye look to it, right? Don't they have like the vertical slits? Isn't that kind of funny how he's almost got that reptilian look to him? I think it's coincidence, I'm sure. I don't think he's actually a reptile, because that's what they say all of us Q people are. And, you know, anyways, right? Just saying. I think it's interesting. Add Biden. Memes are important. So, oddly, they don't step back from the challenge. Post 4509, you have been selected to help serve your country, each and every one of you. Never retreat from the battlefield. Twitter, Facebook, etc. Those are in target and brackets bold for a reason. Do not retreat from these places. These places are the battlegrounds, if you will. There's certainly a lot of censorship happening, and there's a lot of things that you should do to be careful, and certainly some precautions seem to be used in here. And I'm probably going to carefully word this or read this, because I feel like there's a couple places where you've got to tap dance on the words a little. But using other platforms as a form of centralized command and control, and that's really what's going on right now. We need to get the information out there. We need to get talking about it. We need to be sharing facts. We need to be sharing memes. Memes travel faster than light. And one of the things that this brings up here towards the end, which is very cool on this slide, and I think it's really germane to what they're trying to say, that they want people to realize that by doing this the way they are, by doing this in the masses that we are, by doing this on the memes and these general posts, that we're actually sidestepping a lot of the technology they're using to stop us. They're kind of messing with the algorithm, the algo, as they like to call them. So mission 1 is to dispute or reject the propaganda push through posting of research and facts. So the mainstream media's got their push, their focus, their facts, their talking points, their 4 a.m. talking points, whatever. What we do is we find facts. There's anons working everywhere. So for many of us, get a hold of some of this information. Don't feel like you got to be the one to figure it out. Don't invent the wheel again. We've got people that are doing amazing work. If you get on qalerts.app, you can just go there online. You can say the same things. And then you can click on these links and you can go off into rabbit holes that you probably will never even come back from. It's amazing. So this is the time to be sharing facts against all these people that are just throwing out random crazy, "Oh my God, there's a noose." It's like, that's a rope to pull down the garage. They all have it. They all have it. Oh. Okay, well, it's still a noose. Yeah, but it doesn't mean what you just assumed. Mission 2, support role of other digital soldiers. One falls, another stands and rises. This is, again, where 1, if you've got some skills at all, let's start using them. Now's the time to utilize. 2, supporting each of us, all of us. If you like what's going on, certainly now's the time to consider. Have you subscribed to the channel? Please do so. Hit the bell notification. If you like, that's a major help. Thumbs up, and sharing is hugely powerful ways to get past this algo. Now, again, that's kind of what this is talking about, but there's bigger ways that we can support. We can put it on external sites. You've got a web page. You can start putting some of our videos. There was some weird external web page that's dropping my videos and some other amazing people, and I was like, oh my God, I've made it on this thing. That's so cool. So again, how we support one another is going to be key. We are a team. We're working together. We're here to try to help everybody. Guide, awaken, right? Try to help the others as you best can through the use of facts. Again, facts are powerful. Facts are better than calling each other names. They call you a racist. Going back with "you're an idiot" never gets us anywhere. Facts do. And so this is one of the key things. So remember, some of the facts that are going to be coming out during this D-class process, D-class 1 through 99, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be coming out over the next bit of time around these relevant facts, these talking points. And memes, again, are a very good way to try to help control the information. It takes it away from the mainstream media and their ability to control how the information is streamed. When it's done with memes, they can't see it. They can't scan it. It's too hard. The technology to scan memes really only exists in the upper echelons of government, CIA, NSA, like some major places. Facebook and stuff are still trying to work on it, but it's very tricky. And there's a lot that goes into it. So again, they don't know how to do it. Memes are powerful. So ask counter questions. That's another one of the major things we can do to try to initiate thought. Again, what we're trying to do is initiate discussions, initiate talk, initiate getting together with people that maybe have crazy ideas, but presenting evidence and facts and getting them to dialogue back with you in a non-angry way. I don't want to say triggered, because sometimes that's just, Lord, you just wink an eye and they get triggered somehow. Mission 4, important. Learn to use camouflage digitally, like a primary account with the use of secondaries, things along those lines. In some cases, if you can, don't make this like all your eggs in one basket. It's another thing. Like, they could shut this down. I might not be able to chat, but the money loss ain't going to matter, right? Like, it's not the end of the world. Again, if you want to support, there's a PayPal link below. I always appreciate that. Mission 5, identify strengths and weaknesses, personal and designated targets, right? So there's strengths and weaknesses in all these places. And in fact, in a lot of ways, if you're phrasing things in an appropriate way within the rules and guidelines, you can still get across a message that's truthful and not necessarily saying things that you shouldn't, that are key terms, part of the algorithm. So again, if you're careful how you do these things, if you do it intelligently, if you learn how and when you get blocked, what things do get you kind of messed up, what things don't. Sometimes things slip through and you'll question how or why. Again, this is the time for all of us to be sharing, exploring, even if it's the same meme that some anon made and you spam it out on 50 accounts, who cares? It's awesome. Now, they did liken it to this MCP Master Control program. This is a 1982 movie reference. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are in my audience that probably have seen this movie. Tron, it's probably the original one. And there's a very interesting character in there. He's the Master Control program. And essentially, it's a singularity, if you will. An AI, I think, is kind of what they're pointing at as well. But it's also this one point of contention. It's one place that's kind of deciding everything, looking at everything. It's this one focal point. It's a choke point. And what we've got is, and it seems to be, they're saying, I think, kind of more dependence on person-to-person communication. So when you maybe message back to someone, or maybe, when you comment on things, or maybe like there's certain individual communication things they're using, but when we hit it out on multiple fronts simultaneously, when it goes out to thousands of people without necessarily comments and all this other information, it becomes harder for the algo to know that this stuff's going on. So again, it's the way that we're going about fighting this is actually getting around the algorithm, making it very difficult for this central point, this choke point, to be able to do everything. It's almost like a DDoS. And that's when you directed attack against a site, you just hit it millions of times per second with requests, and it can't process them all. So what it does is it just backs up for anybody else. So it's a very similar kind of issue, really. So we're kind of doing things in such vast numbers and in such many directions, it becomes very difficult for them to catch all of it. So again, game theory, information warfare, it's what it's all about. Facts. Remember facts, folks. Folks, the facts are questions. Welcome to the digital battlefield. That really is true, man. It's like a new world. It's a new world. It's tripping me out. Post 4510. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Where we go one, we go all. This is the oath that armed forces members take. This is the oath that all armed forces members that are in the military code of conduct, we've talked about that in the past recently. Certain codes of conduct dictate whether or not you can say certain things about your commanding officers. And unfortunately, to a lot of people on the left, the president is the commander-in-chief, which makes him somebody that an officer in the military and someone who's taken this oath is not supposed to badmouth. Yet that seems to happen a lot. Again, back to the senior members of the military that are taking a little bit of a fall. Keep this in mind. This oath is huge. This oath is huge. Facts. Anytime anyone says, well, he keeps doing all this stuff with all these military people, it's like, well, think about it for a second. This is the code of conduct that they take. You can disagree with it all you want. Fact of the matter is they did this, and the commander-in-chief is not allowed, per that code, to be spoken poorly of, nor any senior commanding officer. So again, it's just the way it works. Sorry. So sorry. Don't like it. This has never been attempted before, people. The use of general public to counter the narrative or the propaganda that is being pushed by controlled media. What I think they're really speaking to is any places where heavy propaganda have been used. China is probably one of the best examples, but a number of places, Vietnam, I want to say Korea, didn't back in the day, I want to say there was a lot of propaganda and radios and blasting music and just crazy things that would happen to help kind of try to push these propagandas. They'd drop leaflets over areas, right, with all sorts of crazy literature stuff. So again, this is the first time they've tried to do this from the people within, much like an insurgency as well, to counter the insurgency. They've been calling it a counterinsurgency for a long time, and it sounds like military planning has gotten involved and said, here's how you do it. So the counterinsurgency is happening. Analysis, or the start to now, indicates a situational awareness. So everything that's kind of leading up to this point has been talking about the situational awareness, decoupling of the mainstream media's control of information. So the general public has this kind of control that's been put on it, and now people are starting to kind of waken, right? It says here, the class of 1 through 99 of general public expanding at a massive pace. People are literally decoupling from the news at a massive pace. They're starting to see what's happening. They're starting to see the hypocrisy. So attacks indicate, or can be defined as, a loss of generalized information control. This needs to expend ammunition. Every time they've got one of these moments, they feel like they're losing control of the information. They feel like they're losing control of the narrative. They use more ammo. And as they use more ammo, you eventually run into a point where you start to not have ammo anymore. And you're looking for rocks or something you can throw because you got nothing else. So they need to expend ammunition every time. Now, muster network to defend and coordinate attacks to counter. So that's what we're trying to do, I think, to an extent. The MIL-CIV Alliance. What's CIV? Civilian. Oh, hello. Military and Civilian Alliance. We're working together, again, through a very intricate system that's been put together as a means of communicating to us and been hardened after the owner or starter or founder had talked to Congress. So again, a lot of things have been happening for a while leading up to this. It was always about the 2020 election. I mean, again, at first it was always about the Senate, because that was the block. They got that. Then now it was always all about the 2020 election. They knew the midterm election was going to show them so much, and I feel like they've definitely done it. So, of course, ask and shall receive. They finally got the double side-by-side pictures of Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. It's just Robinette, really? It sounds like something you should put on a table or like a decoration or something. It's a robinette. What the hell's a robinette? It's that thing, that round thing on there with the doily. That's what that is. That's a robinette. Yeah, you don't know that? What are you, crazy? 4513. This is kind of cool. Always a pleasure to work with DNI Ratcliffe. That's very nice of General Paul M. Nakasone to say, one of the 700 and some odd generals. Though he's a 4-star apparently. It's not nearly as many, like 40 of them or something like that. Anyway. He apparently has been chit-chatting with Ratcliffe and visited him. And we should probably open this. There's probably more good info in here. But they were discussing NSA priorities and the vital role SIGINT plays within our national security. SIGINT, it's intelligence, signal intelligence. Like electronic stuff, basically, warfare like that. Not that I'm Mr. Smarty Pants, but no, it's just a nice picture of the two. Where is there an article in here? Where the shizzle? Anyway, well, I guess not. I guess there's not an article. But what it makes me think is that they're already got a number of things in play for the election to keep anyone from messing with it. Basically to set up a system that if for some reason they push really hard on the mail-in ballot, they've got a backup plan. I've already said what I think it is, which I think would be online. It'd be a version of online, would require some data points to key in and prove who you are and prove that you're registered or okay to vote. And I think that would dissuade a lot of illegal voting for sure, just up front, because you're going to have an IP address and everything that's going to be attached to this. You're going to have a MAC address that's going to be attached to this. There's all sorts of things. And you could put it down at a library if you want to put it in public places and have somebody that wipes it down, puts a plastic thing over it, and wraps you up in bubble wrap before you get in the room so you don't fall down and hurt yourself. You know, any number of things could happen. 4514. Okay, he calls out, he just does this one a second time on 4515, but worth remember, he meant to say remembering, we'll see that correction here in a moment, but this is back in February 2019. There's a very cool article that he shares, and part of it is the scale this generates is disproportionate enough to distort public perception. In 2018, ISD identified close to 30 million uses of the word QAnon across Twitter, YouTube, and forums such as Reddit and 4chan. Numbers today dwarf past estimates. 30 million back in 2018, dwarf, which means we're what? 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, right? Probably up in that realm. Why do you think they hate this so much? Why do you think they keep labeling anyone that, likes QAnon, eats people, and, just crazy stuff, like crazy out there? And believe me, I love crazy stuff. I read the crap out of it. But anyway. Stop the online conspiracy theorists before they break democracy. We can't have people saying crazy stuff, too, that might change opinions like our crazy stuff with no facts based off emotion only and just rhetoric and pointing fingers and hatred and all sorts of wonderful stuff. But yeah, they're calling out some cool stuff. I was impressed that they actually call out the fact that it started as 4chan, which began on the message board site 4chan, which is cool. And now a lot of people try to claim a lot of things, but they don't understand there is a history to Q. Yes, it was, I don't want to say hacked, but there were definitely times where Q's trip code was taken over. There's been times where, the other people posted. There's been a lot of interesting things that have happened. They were able to shut it down at one point, and then finally it ends up after 4chan to 8chan to then 8kun. And here we are in a new world where we're doing what we're doing. So again, a lot has come into play here. So yeah, here's the 30 million uses. It'd be interesting if they had some more recent information. Obviously, if they did, they would have pulled it out. But kind of cool. And like I said, not to say it, but he's just like, on the move. Sorry, whoops. And then I like how he doesn't even point out where it is, because I honestly read it the first time. I didn't see anything wrong with the way it was written. And it was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, ING. That makes sense. Let's see if anything new came out. Doesn't look like it. Nope, 4515 is the newest stuff. A lot's going on. The tsunami's happening. Changes are occurring. It's happening faster than their little algorithms can handle it. It's happening faster than these few really bad politicians can deal with. There's a tornado of stuff that's occurring, and we're hitting them from millions of angles simultaneously with facts, with actual evidence, with real declassed documents. Eventually, the dialogues can happen. That's what we all need to work towards. But now is the time to get this message out. Now's the time to talk to people. Now's the time to be posting and tweeting and all the stuff that goes with that. Now is the time to create a channel, create a Twitter account, tweet there, whatever the new one is. I should remember, but I don't. Like the Twitter replacement that Dan Bongino is supposedly behind. Look it up. It's a good one, supposedly. It's very conservative right now. I kind of hope that changes a little bit. Eventually it will. People will flock there and then try to shut it down. You know how it is. They don't like having someone saying something opposite of what they're saying, especially when they keep trying to bring up pesky numbers and facts. It sucks. I hate it. I do too. I know. I'm the same way. Same way. Numbers suck. Anyway, thank everybody for being a part of this. Where we go one, we go all. Please remember we're all Americans, even those crazy knuckleheads on the left that are still waking up. It's okay. Like I said, I've got family members on the left. They don't even talk to me right now. I think this will heal in time, but right now it's just what's happening. It's time to unite amongst the people that are wanting freedom and believe in the Constitution and believe in not trying to control others' lives. This is the time to unite. It's kind of a battle against evil to a degree, and I think that's really who's controlling the deep state. And I think the rest of the sleeping masses are slowly coming to. It's fun to be a part of it. Thank you guys for joining me. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.